Hey, good morning guys. I'm the Tech Prepper. Hope you're all doing well. This weekend is ARRL Field Day, and that's an opportunity where amateur radio operators are encouraged to get their equipment out of their shack and go into the field and run on secondary power and make contacts. Now, it's not a contest, but it's contest-like, and my big challenge with weekends like this, while they're fantastic for the community, fantastic for operators that rarely get a chance to go out, is that the bands are completely congested. So if you're running low power with a little wire antenna, you're gonna get stomped on. So for emergency preparedness, this is a perfect training day to go out and look at some alternative options if you need to get a signal. So I'm going out just as if I was gonna participate for Field Day 2023, and I'm going to call it Anti-Field Day 2023 because I'm going to try to work the WARC bands. That's right, Whiskey, Alpha, Romeo, Charlie, the WARC bands, and they are 3 bands that are designated for use by gentleman's agreement, not to be used for contest weekends or contests-like weekends like Field Day. So I have put together a communication plan. I've got about 8 or 9 operators that are part of the group that want to try to make contacts, and we're going to try to do it primarily on the 30-meter band. Again, these are bands that typically are not supposed to be used for the actual contest, so it should be fun. The thing that's going to be an X factor for this one is that all of my communication training really is around supporting activities in my region in the Southwest. That typically requires that we deploy low to the ground NVIS antennas and primarily working on the lower HF bands, 40, 60, 75, and 80 meters. Now the WARC bands cap out at 30 meters, which means I'm gonna have to deal with the skip. So we're gonna have to make use of relays, so it should be a real fun adventure. Number 2, I actually had my first fail already this morning, and that fail was mostly around, I was testing out my brand new antenna with Tim, and we're experimenting with some new wire, and it snapped under tension right as I was finished tuning it yesterday. So I had to improvise a quick field fix, and I still now have to do the final tuning out when I get to my position out in the Tonto. So should be a lot of fun, guys. Stick around. I just want to share the adventure with you, and I want to prove the point that, hey, if the bands are packed, you need to get your signal out. Don't have a whole lot of power. That, you know, maybe the WARC bands are going to be an option for you guys to have as part of your kit. And we're just going to camp out right here. All right, guys, we just arrived. This is one of my favorite spots. It is an area that is called Ruin Ridge. It's one of my favorite summits on the air activations, and I've done this a few times. There are some ruins on the top there, and actually off to this side here are petroglyphs, so really cool. So this is the Tonto National Forest. So we're gonna set up right here. We're gonna run the tarp shelter off the Jeep here. So one of the first things I do when I go out into the field, whether it's man portable or with the Jeep, is set up my tarp shelter. I've shown this many times on the channel. This is the system that I've been running for about 3 years. In fact, it is the system that came directly out of my 3-liter dry bag in my ruck, and it consists of the USGI poncho, linked down below, couple of trekking poles from Costco that are pretty much indestructible but not the lightest things in the world, some 550 cord, more S-clip carabiners, and like I said, I showed you guys before, my preferred knot for this is the taut line hitch, so I can adjust the length and tension of the line. But this transitions very well either in this configuration or when I'm in the field. I'll drop 2 more stakes in the back and basically have a lean-to shelter. So it's a nice way for me to have a cool vantage point. Check this out. So this is going to be my operating view for the day, and I can already feel it. It's at least 10 to 12 degrees cooler probably. There's actually a nice breeze, and then off to my right I've got the view of Ruin Ridge. So I always like to have a backup plan, and after damaging my 30-meter WARC bander yesterday and still needing to fix it, I decided let's go ahead and take the antenna that I have on the RV, which is a vertical HF antenna. Yeah, it's compromised, but it could help us in a pinch. So on my Jeep, and actually on all my vehicles, I run the Diamond KS 400 mount, typically with a 2-meter 440 antenna. I took the Commo antenna off and replaced it with my ATOS 120A. Now that will go ahead and allow us to tune all the way down to 40 meters using the Yaesu FT857D, which is the man pack I brought. So in a pinch, we can tune it for 12, 17, and 30 meters. From here on out, whatever footage I capture is what it's going to be, mumbles and all. All right, so we're going to set up the end-fed half-wave sloper. Where the hell is it? All right, so it's right here. This is the prototype I'm working on with Tim N9 SAB, and we were experimenting with some new wire and it didn't quite work out. I'll show you where I broke it. Now, to put that up in the air, it's actually quite nice. The reason why I like end-fed half waves is that you only need one support. And we're going to be using the Sodabeam carbon 6 carbon fiber mast. Mine is wrapped around with duct tape, but I just find that it helps quite a bit. Testing out a new piece of gear. A viewer of mine, Kilo 8 Delta Delta Victor, came up with this cool little contraption. It basically seats on the bottom of the carbon 6. It's got a couple of little spikes. They don't work that great in the desert. I drilled a hole in the bottom of mine because I actually need to drive a very large tent stake from Sodabeams into the ground, and it's actually going to go through this hole. Now, for the guy kit, he also sent me a bunch of different 3D printed guys. I decided to go for the one that is 6'3". I tried the 7-foot one, and the problem is that I can't adjust it because I'm too freaking short. So this is perfect in my field test. It has 3 rings, and then I'm just using my normal guy kit, and I try to be consistent with all my gear so that, for example, the tarp shelter tent stake system is the same one I use for my guy. So I've got the same type of tent stakes, the same S-clip carabiners. The only difference is the cordage. For 6'3", I figured out 16 feet of micro paracord would be perfect. I use the taut line hitch so that I can bring that down, so I can bring this down to 8 feet minimum if I need to, but for this configuration at the 6'3" height, it's probably going to be closer to 11 feet, so works pretty well. Now, the other trick I like to do is I like to drop the matching unit near my operating location and then walk out the wire first. And since this is a linked end fed, you'll notice here we've got a link here for the 12-meter work band. We have another link here for 17, so we can go ahead and break this. And then you'll actually notice where I did my Bubba engineering here that I basically clipped together a patch lead that I had from a different antenna to make this work, and then I was just using a fisherman's knot on both sides here and stripped off some insulation and twisted it together. So hopefully this is not going to throw off my tuning too much. I added probably about an extra 8 inches. And then on the end, what I do for tuning here on all my antennas is I use these S-clip carabiners, and I'll end load it and fold it over, so I have about 12 inches here on the end. Well, we actually succeeded on this one, guys. So here's the SWR readings. I don't know if it's going to come on camera, but for 10.130 megahertz, the SWR is 1.43 to 1. It's still a bit long. We could probably get closer to 1.24, but given that I have that delicate kind of hack job, I don't want to mess up the configuration. So heading out here, we've got the sloper going out here, the patch job that I have here. And one thing to note, guys, I actually find it very useful when we're dealing with really rough terrain to get close to areas where there's lots of foliage here. You'll find that it's a little bit easier to get into. So the guy system is working great. And again, if you guys don't know the taut line hitch, this thing's absolutely amazing for cinching and adjusting the cables. We're gonna go and just add a little bit of tension and we're good to go. All right, time to hopefully get on the air and make some targeted contacts on 30. So we have about 30 minutes before field day kicks off. Again, I'm not participating. I'm going to be on the 30-meter work band. Just want to show you what I'm running here. So I'm underneath the cover of the tarp shelter. Feels nice and cool. That's Ruin Ridge over there, beautiful peak. And then I've got the carbon 6 carbon fiber mast out in the distance, about 19.5 feet high, running my antenna in an end or in a sloper. And then there's the prototype end-fed half-wave link dipole for the work bands. Again, running into a few issues with it, but this is why we get out here and train. The ground system that we tried, it doesn't really do anything, but we'll switch over back to the counterpoise in the next round of testing. For the station here, I am running my Yaesu 857D. I'm only going to be running 20 watts for digital. Right now I'm on the 30-meter band on 10.130 megahertz running digital. It's running with the TPA pack frames from Armorlock in my custom man pack bag, and I'm running a 9 amp hour lithium iron phosphate battery. And then I've got the DigiRig mounted on the inside, running the single USB interface into my Panasonic FZM1. and running JS8 call. Now, I also absolutely love running it with the iKey keyboard, and that's because you have to use the mouse for JS8 call to do anything useful. Now, for testing, because I was concerned about my antenna, keyed up, SWR looks good, went ahead and sent out a heartbeat, and I had 2 stations respond. One was Whiskey 2 Mike X-Ray, and he gave me a -6 signal report, and then November 6 Charlie Yankee Bravo gave me a -11. So not bad. So the plan is to pull out the comms plan that I have in here and see how many of these contacts I can make with my group on 30 meters while everybody goes and takes over the amateur radio bands. All right, guys, it is 1800, and I'm already seeing a couple of my guys on the Commo plan pop up on 30 meters. And one of the things we need to do with our guys is make sure that we send signal reports. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So we're going to do directed to blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to say send signal report. So for field day or anti-field day 2023, what I wanted to see is if I could have targeted comms with lots of people in my group, about 8 or 9 of them, and see if we can use the 30 meter band and JSA call effectively to do that. It literally is 1 minute into this operation, and I'm at least hearing one of the operators. It's Kilo 8 Juliet Oscar Kilo / Papa. He's portable. So I just sent him a signal report of -11 dB, and we'll see if he can hear me. All right, so I just sent out a heartbeat, and that station, Kilo 8 Juliet Oscar Kilo, responded to me. I think he was doing it on auto, and he sent me back a -18. So pretty cool stuff. We have a few other things that we're doing in our Commo plan, but at least we have basic connectivity. That's pretty slick. I'm seeing a few other operators here. I need to go back to my plan. We've got other things we're going to do for the exchange, but if for some reason in 15 minutes, if we're not able to make contacts, we're going to switch to slow mode. And I know you technically don't have to do that on the newer computers because JS8 call will actually allow faster computers, or there's an option to do decodes of the normal mode, slow mode, the fast mode, and the turbo. I'm running with that stuff turned off because I am running kind of older hardware. Well, guys, I switched to the slow mode per our alternate plan. We wanted to go to a mode that would give us more luck, and I actually heard back from Kilo India 4 Hotel Delta Uniform. While he was not on my plan, he actually is my work colleague, and we communicate a bunch. He's out in Tennessee, so pretty cool stuff. It's funny that we're able to chat. Usually we do it over Slack, but I'll take radio. So I'm actually going to put down you, buddy, William, down on my log here because I know you. You're a known contact, so we're going to count that as 3 contacts. This is gonna be a long video, but there's a lot going on. So we are at 1830 UTC. So our plan actually calls for silence for the next 30 minutes, and then we're going to check in at the top of the hour. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut down my Panasonic FZM1 and my radio to conserve energy. And in that 30 minutes, I'm going to throw up my solar panel. Said I was going to do that earlier, but wanted to relax instead and start topping off at least the FZM1 because it looks like I only have 60% left of the battery and have several hours here left of operating. Well, guys, since our pace plan only calls for a primary and alternate, and those start at the top of the hour and then 15 minutes after the hour, I'm going to use the next 30 minutes to set up my solar so I can start generating my own energy, and it's already done. So I have been running the PowerFilm 20-watt panels for a couple years now, actually 3 years now. They're fantastic, especially out here in the Sonoran Desert. I have that connected to my Buddy Pole Power Mini Solar Charge Controller. I think this is the V1 model. I also have the V2, and then I'm topping off a 3 amp hour lithium iron phosphate battery from BioWino. The primary thing I need to charge is the Panasonic FZM1, and since that's 16 volts, it's kind of a challenge for me. I found this really cool DC to DC converter that takes 12 volts in and does 16 volts out, and it's from Lind Electronics. I found this on eBay for about 20 bucks, and it actually supports both AC mains as an input or 12 volt DC. So I just have a couple of different connectors to go from Anderson power pole to a barrel male to male, and I'm in business. Little blue light means we're getting power and charging up this guy here. So yeah, use those downtimes where, whether it's to create or make food for yourself, get a cup of water, set up solar, you know, work around the camp. So next combo window is in about 11 minutes. So very happy now that I am self-supporting, at least while I have sunlight for field day. All right, guys, if you want to get a sense for how much traffic is going on today, I've configured JS8 call to sit on the FT8 frequency. Listen to all that traffic stomping on each other. It is just chaos right now. Whereas if we switch over to, let's go ahead and switch over to 30 meters. Oh, dead quiet. All right, guys, we're at our second Commo window, and I just found a station, Kilo Foxtrot 0, Golf November Bravo, that can hear one of my guys from the previous window. So we're gonna do a message to, and it was to Kilo Mike 4, Mike Zulu Alpha, and I'm gonna try to leave a message on this station for this guy. Actually, I'm gonna put his signal report. You are minus 19 dB. Yeah, I know, we gotta switch windows. All right, so we're gonna send that off. It also looks like that Kilo Foxtrot 0 GNB station wants me to send him a signal to noise report. I'll do that next. And I'll put him in the log, but I'm not gonna put him as one of my guys, so I'll put like an asterisk here. So that station that I'm using as a relay just acknowledged that he is storing the message for me for the other operator in my group. So that other operator in my group, all he needs to do is ask all call, and I'm going to do that real quickly. That's a good idea. We're going to click on all call, which means all the operators that can hear me here, and I want to do a directed message. Got to tell you, without a keyboard you can't use JS8, and I'm going to query for do you have messages for me, and send that off. It'll take about 15 seconds. So by and large, I got to tell you, this is absolutely successful, especially with all the fails. And guys, I am not an expert. I'm a big freaking dumb gorilla. Actually, I'm a tiny dumb gorilla. But I get out here and train, I identify failures. Even when I know better, I still fail. I have more successes than failures, and I learn from those mistakes. So get out here and train. Like I said, if you are a serious prepper, need some help, consider following me around. Oh, it looks like I might have some messages here. Let's turn that down. And yeah, consider getting out here and training, especially in the elements, because now you have to be concerned about your resources. Like I said, we're at the point now where we're back up to 81% battery utilization or capacity on the Panasonic FZM1. I was down to 60 in the last Commo window, so just throwing out the solar was an absolute success. Oh, and it looks like I've got a message from KT4 USA. He's another guy on my plan. All right, guys, yeah, hold on a second. We're making some contacts now. Let me see if I can get a message from KT4. Actually, let me do an exchange here first. A lot is going on here. Very cool stuff. We're going to keep that thing rolling. So first, I want to go ahead and send them back a signal report. We're bouncing all over the place today. So I'm going to ask him for my signal report. And I'm going to log KT4 SUA at 1919 UTC. That's 4 operators in my group in our only second Commo window. And he has a message for me to check. My signal report to him is, oh, whoa, plus 15. We could probably do voice right now. Nice. And he says, I'm minus 18, so I'm in the noise. So no, we can't do voice. KT4 USA, I asked for that message, and it said, looks like on 30 meters we are too close to go direct. Relay stations for the wind 73 Kilo Charlie 8 Oscar Whiskey Lima. This is what I was telling you guys before. I typically do regional communication using 40 meters or 80 meters, and Mike, him and I have a freaking bat line to each other pretty much from about 7:30 in the morning to well past 5 p.m. And he left me a message on KT4 USA, the guy we just made a contact with, who's also in our group. So I'm actually going to go ahead, and now that I know that Mike and I, who normally can talk to each other on 40 meters but can't on 30 because of the skip zone, I'm going to go ahead and send him a message and leave it for him on KT4 USA. And the message is going to be, I'm just going to do, yes, relays are great. GR. And Mike actually is doing something. I don't know if you noticed there. Let me go ahead and send this off. And it wasn't something I knew about initially, but in his message it says 73 Kilo Charlie 8 Oscar Whiskey Lima, and then it repeats it from Kilo Charlie 8 Oscar Whiskey Lima. I need to let him know that when you leave messages on other people's machine, you don't need to sign your call sign. I know I made that mistake and told everybody you did. It is not the case. It looks like the JS8 call software will automatically include the from the other station, so you don't need to include it and waste those precious bytes. So Commo plan is working great. Call log is getting filled out. I've got, if Mike is able to respond to me here, that will have made a total of 5 of the 8 operators that I wanted to make a contact with, targeted across the US on 30 meters when the bands are packed. Cool stuff. All right, guys, Anti-Field Day 2023 was a success. I set out to prove whether or not I could come out here and make contacts on the WARC bands, while the entire amateur radio bands were completely consumed by operators basically just hammering each other and leaving no room for the little guys. So yeah, so in an emergency, I guess, if people will observe the gentleman's agreement not to use the WARC bands, it looks like you can be successful. In fact, I had planned to make a contact with 10 other operators, and I was able to make contact with 5 of the 10, and only in 4 comma windows, if you can believe that. I might do a little bit better tomorrow. I even had a bonus 6 direct contact with my buddy at work. So 6 out of 11 really isn't too bad, considering that I had a busted 30-meter antenna because I hulked the wire and we picked the wrong wire for this exercise. All of my gear is working out great. It's, you know, upwards of 95 degrees in here, and the FZM1's doing its thing. The man pack is running great. The one thing I will note is, for some reason, the ATOS 120A, for whatever reason, did not like digital when I switched to it, and it completely freaked out. And I tried tuning it a whole bunch, and for whatever reason, it wasn't able to tune 30 meters. So I switched back to my end-fed halfway for the rest of the exercise. So anyways, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this journey. Sorry about the wind noise. It is what it is. But yeah, this was fun playing out in the desert to do real radio with purpose, I guess, for about 4 or 5 hours. Now it's time to break down all this stuff. Anyways, big thanks to the guys on Buy Me a Coffee. You guys are amazing. We have our member-only live stream Monday, so couple days from now, so hopefully you guys will stick around for that, the members that is. And for everybody else, I really do appreciate you guys. Continue to watch the videos, hit that thumbs up, do all of that good stuff. It really does help me out. With that said, I'm the Tech Prepper. Be strong, be safe, and be prepared. There are 3 bands designated for use specifically, or designated for use for non-contesting activities. I don't like that. Oh shit!